So yeah, before we get into details, what you guys just overall thoughts of the first episode? Did you like it? Did you have concerns?
It was okay. I didn't mind it. It was just setting up the story moving forward and what how she deals with becoming a superhero. So I'm okay with the first episode, but yeah, it was uneventful. It felt like.
Right.
Yeah, this is like part of their setup for these like 6-7 episode shows is like they'll take an episode or two and just go really slow, and I don't think it works. Like I haven't really liked it on any of the series that they've done like that. I think they come into it too slow.
Yeah, I remember even WandaVision, which is one of the better ones.
Yeah, it was like episode 3.
It took about 3 episodes before it really got going.
I mean, but it's like what we talked about before, like they kind of have to set up the story and then they can like really go with it,
I would actually be more fine with them taking that slow burn start if they were more than 6 episodes.
Yeah.
But being that they're so condensed, I'm like, yeah, maybe we should get going a little faster.
Yeah, the first one I definitely didn't. It was pretty much exactly, what I would have expected. It's a teenage angst show.
Yeah, I'm in your guys' boat. Like, I wasn't super impressed with this episode. Like, it's fine. I think, like we were talking about before, I think Marvel's smart of doing different genres. It's just, as a guy in his late 30s, a coming-of-age, like, teenager story isn't going to appeal to me as quickly as something like a Loki with a cool sci-fi bend to it.
I mean, I do like some of those movies. I understand it's definitely like a fantasy for kids to have powers, or anybody really.
Right.
So there's a lot to tie in there, but so far it hasn't shown us much.
So there's a part of it that I thought was kind of hard to swallow. We'll get to it, but there was an issue with the powers and how she got them.
Definitely much different from the comics. Okay, yeah. So from this point on, guys, spoilers ahead. We'll just kind of do a plot synopsis and kind of comment on things as we go along. Guys, chime in whenever you want. But we start off, we find out that Miss Marvel, Kamala Khan, is much like us, a podcaster and YouTuber. We basically see, like, right out of the gate, she's a huge fanboy of the Marvel superheroes, and especially Captain Marvel, Carol Danvers, is her favorite. And we kind of see, she puts together like this YouTube video, I think, of like the Avengers and their kind of the fight with Thanos and stuff, using like, I guess, like paper cutouts or something.
Yeah, basically she's a creative dreamer.
Right, she's a creative type, artist type, and we'll see. Like, there's a lot of these parts in the show with a lot of like animations that kind of are supposed to like show you like kind of the inside of her mind,
right,
I guess.
Daydreaming aspect.
Yeah, daydreaming aspect of her mind. Anyway, she gets done posting that YouTube video. She goes downstairs, and we find out that she is going to take her driver's test today.
All right, this was not a great scene.
So we're introduced to her family. So she's got her brother, who's like a really super like religious Muslim. Like I have a feeling like
and charming. Yeah, he's kind of interesting.
I think her parents like are even like, God, this fucker goes too hard on the Muslims.
So this is so this is kind of strange, right? Because they seem like a mix of like Middle Eastern and Indian.
Yeah, they're Pakistani.
Well, they're Pakistani.
Oh, they're Pakistan. Mm-hmm. I thought they were Indian. Okay, that makes sense.
No, they're Pakistani. So,
okay.
So yeah, there's this whole scene. And like they're gonna hammer this home, and AJ, maybe you probably can't relate to this, but their parents really, especially your mother, really play the guilt card on a lot.
I can relate to that.
I was wondering like how much you'd have to say about this episode about like the family dynamics.
Yeah, I could definitely. I saw some similarities between Kamala Khan and a lot of like Indian, Southeast Asian like cultural kind of behavioral characteristics, and family.
Right.
So yeah, that's something that I think a lot of, especially like girls, have to deal with, like their parents being strict and stuff like that.
And like her mother was like, you got to check your mirrors every 10 seconds or whatever.
Yeah, I don't know what that was about.
And
That was for the driving test.
for the driving test.
Okay.
And the dad was, her dad seems like a little less like annoying than her mom.
Yeah.
Like he's a little more laid back.
He's kind of a sympathetic character almost.
Right. And he's like, you don't really have to check him that much. Anyway, she has this scene where like she's in the car with the driving instructor, and the very first thing she does is like the old SpongeBob, like floor it.
Right, he's exactly like SpongeBob. She's like, they're about to take off. She puts it in reverse and just floors it as hard as she can.
Yeah, into her driver instructor's car,
Yeah.
which then has to get towed.
Yeah, that wasn't a good scene.
Yeah, and then as it's getting towed, like her parents are there, and they're being like, very defensive of her and kind of telling the driver guy off. But then as soon as they get her like in the car, and they're driving away, then her mom really puts the guilt trip on her, like, oh, I was gonna have you help out with all this stuff, but I guess not anymore since you can't drive or whatever,
That is like the benefit when your kid starts to drive, though, because they want to drive, and you just send them on like all the errands. You're like, yeah, why don't you go down there and get some milk? Okay.
So then she goes to her school. I didn't freeze frame it, but I noticed like they show like a plaque on the school, and one of the names was G. Willow Wilson, who's like the creator of the character. And I imagine all the other names are also like the artists and stuff that have been associated with her in the comics.
So have you both read these comics? I never even heard of her.
No, I never read Miss Marvel.
I've read a lot of them.
Okay.
Cool.
The earlier ones are pretty good. Like eventually, like some of them aren't very good, but she's an endearing character in the comics for sure. She's definitely kind of like the female Peter Parker, where they get you interested in like her as a character and like her relationships and stuff. So it's pretty good. Anyway, once she gets to school, we're introduced to kind of her friends and people at her school. So like her best friend is this kid named Bruno, and we find out that like. Yeah, there's like this Avengers Con coming up where they both want to go to it. And there's like a costume contest that she wants to enter as Miss Marvel. And I don't know if we get it right here, but basically we're going to find out that he's like genius, like inventor type kid.
Yeah, it's a trope I really hate. And
Dude.
it's in so many comics.
Marvel Comics especially, there's so many child geniuses.
Yeah, like Iron Lad. I think the girl Riri Williams.
Yes, and she's going to have her own show, so we're going to have another...
Or Ironheart, I think is her name.
Ironheart, yeah.
And then the two kids of Reed Richards.
Yeah, especially
Valeria,
the girl. Yeah, Valeria.
I think well-meaning but kind of stupid would be a good character.
You bought that Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur book for your
she's
kids.
a genius.
Yeah, I didn't read that, but yeah, I was like, I'm pretty sure she's a genius. So yeah, Marvel's just like littered with child geniuses. Even I think we talked about this. Peter Parker himself is like a selective genius, like at times. So yeah, too many child geniuses. Marvel. She's also got
Well-meaning Dum Dum is like Thor, right? Isn't he kind of like a dum-dum, but he's like got good intentions?
yeah,
Yes.
that's true.
I'd say he's average intelligence at least.
We also got her friend Nakia, which she doesn't really do much in this episode. Probably will have more in later episodes. Zoe, who is like, seems like the popular girl that maybe isn't like terrible to her, I guess.
She threw that ball in her face and made her bleed. Was that her?
I'm not sure. I forgot about that scene. Maybe it was. Maybe she's the
I don't
school
know if it
bitch.
showed who throwed it, but
Yeah, I'm not
there
sure
were a
it
bunch of
showed.
people there to laugh about it, I guess.
But she seems like, the plastic, like, popular girl. Over the loudspeaker, her like flamboyantly gay Principal Wilson, calls her into the principal's office. And they have this discussion where he's basically just like, oh, Kamala, you always have your head in the clouds, but, why you need to, like, look at yourself in the mirror and, like, get serious or whatever, and the SATs and stuff like that are coming up, and just kind of gives her a pep talk, I guess. She meets Bruno at the corner store, which I think in the comics his family owns. I'm not 100% sure on that.
No, I don't know.
Anyway, he's besides being a genius, he's a good what do you call that paint that he uses? Not spray paint, but you know what I'm talking about. Airbrushing or whatever.
Oh, airbrushing, yeah.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. Because they're making costumes.
Right. He's helping her make her suit for the con.
So this is the thing that doesn't make sense. Like, her parents are strict on her about, she can't go to this convention or whatever, but she, hangs out with this guy pretty much any time of day, whenever, wherever.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, too.
Yeah, you would think conservative parents like that would have a problem with her being with a boy unsupervised,
So, yeah, I don't know. They could have probably just went and been like, we're going to go have a ice cream.
That's true. Maybe because it was later at night, they would have had I don't know. Anyway.
Well, no, because they were hanging out on that rooftop at night.
That's true. They could have been just like, oh, we're going up to the rooftop. Maybe she snuck out to do that. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know. But anyway, one thing they set up and they mentioned several times is oh, she needs a special flourish for her costume, right? And they talk about this. And they're on a bicycle ride, and they're like, oh, maybe the flourish could be a mashup between Captain Marvel and other superheroes like Doctor Strange or Black Panther. And this is another thing where they use the graffiti on the buildings they pass to basically take the form of those things she's talking about as they do it. I guess it's neat, but
yeah, it's filler. Yeah.
I might have somewhere in here. I don't know really the order of events. At one point, she's at home and she gets this box of stuff from her grandmother, her mother's mother, and at one point she pulls out this bracelet.
Yeah, which is going to be
right.
magic.
You can tell right away that's going to be the link to the powers, and her mom just oh, that stuff's trash or whatever, and my mom's crazy or something. Doesn't she say something to that effect?
Yeah, she keeps sending all her trash to them so they'll save it.
Something like that. Yeah, I think she mentions before she dies, she wants to...
Did she say that her mom was still alive? She said her mom was still sending stuff?
I think so.
Damn.
I don't know if it was a mom or an aunt.
Okay.
I think it was. I think they mentioned that it's her grandma, her mother's mother. I think.
Well, it belonged to her, but I wasn't sure if it came to her.
Oh, I see what you're saying. So at some point, also around this
because you would think that would be an item that would require a bit more care.
Mm-hmm.
I'm assuming her grandmother had the power, right?
Yeah, it sounds like she takes
has
after.
the power.
I kind of think at one point they're going to link this item to Shang-Chi's corner of the universe.
That's what I was thinking too.
This bracelet belonged to Sinbad.
Maybe. I don't know.
Just so aloof with that bracelet, so just whatever, careless.
Yeah.
Blase.
Yeah.
I didn't get it. That's such. It's the MacGuffin of the show, right? The bracelet, it has powers and it's everything in the show, and they just, just throw it upstairs, whatever, we'll put it over there.
Yeah, her brother threw the box in the attic. Or something.
well, let's get into this because in the comics she is an Inhuman, and so Inhumans basically they get hit with this thing called the Terrigen Mist, and if they're an Inhuman, it basically puts them in this kind of cocoon type thing, and then they're reborn with whatever power they have. I kind of understand because that one Inhuman show was kind of a bust, and they didn't, put it in this universe or whatever. I can understand them maybe okay, we don't want to do that. but just having this magical bracelet seems cheap to me. It seems like they could have came up with something a little more interesting than that. I don't know.
Usually it's like the puberty. Get my powers with my puberty.
Even if it was that to me would have been a little more interesting.
Yeah, because you could tie that back to the Celestials, and we know something about that already. But this bracelet just comes out of left field. Like, I don't know.
Also, like, in the comics, you know, and we haven't seen the extent. In this episode, we don't get the extent of what everything the bracelet can do. But in the comics, her power is kind of like Reed Richards-esque. Like, she has the power to embiggen. Like, she can grow, like, stretch out real far. She can grow real tall. She can, like, move all of her mass to her, like, fist or whatever if she wants to, and things like that. So, like, her power set scene, like, she doesn't throw projectiles or anything like she does in this show.
Yeah, this seemed like
So her power set's
Green
a lot.
Lantern-esque.
Yeah, I can
Like,
see
you
that.
can kind of, like, imagine things and, like,
Yes.
project them or something.
Yeah, I guess so.
But also, like, maybe a shield. I don't know.
Probably.
It seemed like an extension. Like she's kind of controlling it.
So I don't know. I don't know if I like that power set as much as what she has in the comics, but we'll see. They might be able to do something cool with it. So Bruno makes this, like, this is where we get the sense that he's like this big inventor. He makes this alarm system for her father. This, like, voice activated. It's like a voice activated, like, alarm system / clapper that turns the lights on and off.
It's an Alexa, basically.
Yeah. He could have just gave her an Alexa.
I know. That's what I was thinking too.
So this is another thing is, like, she's been, like, talking to him about how, like, you know, they'll never, like, how is she going to get to the con? And he's like, why don't you just, like, break down and just ask your parents, you know? And, like, she's all freaked out about it. Now, at some point, I think this is before she asks them, like, yeah, they go up to the roof like you were talking about, and, like, we find out he made her, like, these light up gloves for her costume.
Yeah.
Which again seems pointless ultimately. But
Well,
whatever.
it was kind of like, it was a nice thought. It was a nice gift, but, like, well, we'll get to it. Ultimately, incredibly pointless.
Yeah, I guess we get the sense that there's probably a romance brewing between these two. So yeah, she goes and she asks her parents if she can go, and, like, of course they say no, they don't want her out. And I think the parent, like, her mom mentions, like, wearing too tight of clothing or something like that too. And, like, she talks about the double standard. Like, it is true in a lot of families about, like, oh, you know, if my brother asked, you'd be like, oh, of course you can go, but, you know, I can't. So she's, like, pissed off about that too.
Yeah.
And then, like, she goes up to her room. She texts Bruno that she can't go or whatever. And then her brother comes in and says, like, I'll talk to him for you. So then, like, her mom's like, okay, we changed our mind. You can go, but your dad's going to go with you to chaperone or whatever. And then she's like, and I got a surprise. And he comes out dressed as the Hulk. And then, like, she gives her a homemade Hulk costume that looks, like, terrible or whatever. And then, like, she's kind of rude to her dad or whatever and says, no, like, she doesn't want that. So then the deal's off again. Like, he says they're not going.
I thought that scene was a little too dramatic, man. Like,
Yeah.
they tried really hard to make it seem like the parents were just completely devastated. And I was like, that's such a small conversation. Anybody would be like, whatever, you know.
Right.
they like fully committed.
Yeah.
The dad's all got his green face. And
He's like, oh, no.
yeah. He's like, yeah, he's got a tear in it.
Yeah.
So now that she can't go,
Maybe they should go like full Indian melodrama on this.
Like face shots, like zoom, zoom, zoom.
Break out into song and dance every 5 minutes.
These episodes would go on forever, man. You talking about it slow now?
So now she, because they said no, she plots this whole thing, where they're going to use his security system to basically monitor his parents, and also anytime they knock on her door, like it's going to make her voice like say something.
Yeah, like I'm naked or something.
Yeah, that was it. And then they're going to like take their bikes and get on the bus.
Yeah.
Like it's nothing interesting.
Yeah.
But she draws it all out on this chalkboard because nobody would do that. So yeah, anyway, so they do that. She ends up losing her bike because she's bad at getting it on the bus.
People take liberties with taking shit on the bus. They're like homeless people trying to take like a whole freaking shopping cart and freaking that shit on the bus. What the fuck are you doing, man?
Don't buses have like little things to put the bike on the outside?
A lot of them will have like a bike rack on the front.
Yeah.
I guess I'm actually thinking more of like the metro where it's like ground level and people like be pulling their whole homeless house and stuff. Just like, this is crazy.
But anyway, they get to the Avengers Con, and we get this montage of them having a good old time, seeing all the different things. There's like a giant Ant-Man thing, and all these different exhibits and whatnot. But then, like, she starts to get ready for the costume contest, and wouldn't you know it, Zoe, the school bitch, is there, and she's dressed as Captain Marvel. She's gonna be in the competition.
That bitch.
And she looks substantially better in her costume.
Yeah, her costume looked like legit.
Yeah.
Like, it made me wonder, like, did she have it professionally made or something?
I know, she should have been like, God damn it, Bruno, you're a genius and you can't make me something like that. You're making me this bullshit. And then, yeah, she goes in the bathroom and, like, starts to get ready. But, like, you alluded to this. She puts the gloves on the ground and accidentally leaves them in the bathroom. So it's like, the gloves didn't fucking matter.
I mean,
Yeah, you thought they were going to play some part.
yeah.
And then she just leaves them and you're like, I guess that's the end of that. And then her boyfriend or the guy's slightly disappointed and they move on with their lives.
Yeah, it's dumb.
Yeah.
Also, she put her helmet and the gloves on the bathroom floor, and I was like, that is just disgusting.
They're ruined.
It took me out of the scene. I was like, that's not realistic.
If she gets some, like, disease on her ears, then it'll be realistic. But then, the costume florist comes back. We find out her flourish, of course, is going to be this bangle, this bracelet she got from her grandmother or whatever. And she puts it on, and predictably, it gives her powers. And it even, like, doesn't it do, like, a thing where it, like, kind of gets bigger on her wrist, like, slides a little bit or something. And, so yeah, she goes on stage and like she's getting kind of like, I don't know, feels weird about all the attention and the cameras snapping her picture.
Yeah, she's
and
like
stuff.
disoriented with all the flashes and stuff.
And this causes her to like discharge like out of her bracelet or whatever.
Yeah, something
like
random.
Yeah, just like this random like shape or something, right?
Yeah.
And people are like, ooh, ah.
Yeah.
And it basically, then one of them like goes and hits the big Ant-Man thing, and the Ant-Man's head rolls off. And that causes this like Rube Goldberg like thing where like ropes start to unravel and all this other stuff, and eventually it like releases like a large like thing like Thor's hammer or something.
Oh right, Thor's hammer swinging around.
That head did not obey the laws of physics, man.
Yeah. You're right. That son of a bitch just kept rolling.
Yeah, it was like limitless energy. I was like, we should harness that thing, man.
There were even times where it seemed like it slowed down and then sped back.
Yeah. I thought it stopped for a minute and then it kept going.
And then, so Thor's hammer ends up hitting Zoe, and it like takes her up in the air. And then it's like, even if she would have let her just like fall, like it wouldn't have killed her.
Yeah.
But
It seems like it hit her should have hit her with like enough force to have done some damage.
Break her ribs. It seemed like it hit her hard
Because it
enough
still
to
had enough
do it.
energy to like lift her like 30 feet in the air. Or whatever.
And then it smashed her between the hammer and a wall.
And she fell.
it'd be great if she was like, well, I guess that bitch didn't win. But anyway, then she uses like the power to safely like catch Zoe and break her fall. Now this is one thing that I thought was weird. So her and Bruno are going home. Of course, they're both on his bike because she lost her bike. But I'm like, they barely talk about the whole situation. I'm like, these kids would have stopped somewhere and been like, holy shit, like you have superpowers, holy fuck. And like, you don't get that scene. And I'm like, I just didn't buy that they barely talked about it, you know?
Yeah, I feel the same way. I felt like they should have definitely. That should have been a huge scene. Like,
right.
They celebrate and they're just experimenting and they're doing the whole thing. But yeah, they just skipped right over it.
Like, I get that there's an urgency to get back to her house or whatever. But at the same time, I'm like, something that crazy happens, they would have talked about it more.
Yeah. There was a point where I was like, do they even believe she has powers? Like, do they think it was just some weird thing that happened? Like, they're not discussing it. So like,
I mean, they have to know she has powers. I mean, yeah, it was just weird. Like, that part didn't jive with me.
yeah.
Like, they needed an extra scene there, I feel like.
Yeah.
Yeah, just... Anyway, they get home. He, like, helps boost her up to her room, and, like, she uses her power a little bit to get up. And doesn't it create, like, a thing with her foot there where it, like, jumps her up a bit?
Yeah, like a little
she has like
step.
a little pedestal to jump off of or something.
Yeah. And of course, like, her mom figured out that she wasn't really there. Mom's waiting for her in her room. And we get more mom guilt here. She's very disappointed in her. And she gives her this whole speech about, do you want to be some hero with your head in the clouds, or do you want to be a good person like I raised you? Because you can't be both.
A hero's not a good person.
Right. Right. And and then so she leaves, and then like
And then Kamala just kind of stares at her wrist, and she's like, "Powers."
or she says something cosmic, or something like that. And she like smiles, and we fade to black. Now, did you guys watch the post-credit scene?
No, I didn't know there was one.
There was one.
No, I was good after that.
It's not much. So, and I didn't know this until I saw it on like Wikipedia or something. But basically, there's these two like government workers, agents, and the woman's like, "Hey, did you see this viral video of like this girl at this convention?" And he's like, "No." And like she shows him the video, and she's like, "Oh yeah, that's worth investigating. We should go pick her up and question her or whatever." And apparently they work at the Department of Damage Control. Damage Control was like an old Marvel title. So I guess it's an allusion to that. But yeah, it wasn't much. But apparently these two government agents are going to play a role and they're on to her already.
Okay, that changes things. I didn't know about that. I guess there is a little bite for what's happening in the next episode. But I really hope they do focus on some of those things that we talked about them leaving out, like her new powers and being more excited about it and like discovering. I think they will, but I really need some more backstory on that bracelet of hers. Like they need to give us the deep dive on that.
Yeah, I don't know if they will or not in this show, but like it just seemed to me like with Shang-Chi and like the 10 rings thing, I'm like, I could definitely see them like connecting that bracelet to his kind of universe or whatever. And it's some, relic, much like his, that gives powers,
Yeah.
But still, I was kind of like, I don't think I like this as much as her powers in the comics, but
I didn't know about her powers in the comics, but I couldn't get a good feel of what her powers are right now exactly.
yeah, same. Like he was saying, it's almost Green Lantern-esque, but like different. So yeah, I'm not sure. Now, do you guys think, obviously, at some point she's going to meet Captain Marvel? Do you think that'll happen in this first season of this show?
Yeah, I think like the last episode.
I kind of do too.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't know. It's going to have to pick up the pace here.
Do you predict you will like this show better or worse than Hawkeye?
I think it's not hard to say. I probably will like it better.
What
so
about
far,
you?
I'm not in love.
I'm not in love with it. I'm not
hoping it picks up.
I'm not in love with it. If I had to score this episode, I'd probably give it like 6 out of 10. It's fine.
But they're going to need a bad guy. Is it just going to be the government?
No, I don't think the bad guy is going to be the government. I think they probably will.
They'll be the side enemy.
It'll probably be like a teenage bullied victim from her school or something like that.
Man, I hope not.
Yeah.
I hope it's not like Wonder Woman where that girl just gets powers out of nowhere and then becomes her nemesis.
Oh, that's right. There was like, that side chick.
Is that Zoe girl? She's like, she's all mad from getting crushed by Thor's hammer, and she's gonna discover some artifact, that gives her special powers.
Where the chance my grandma sent this to
me. It's the left bangle.
Oh yeah, it was a matching set.
I felt a little amiss that there weren't like 2 of them.
Yeah, that's true. It did feel kind of weird.
You solved it. There's another bangle out there.
Yeah, I'm curious to see who the villain is. Marvel has done pretty well when it comes to like, it's 50-50. Like they've done sometimes pretty well, like when it comes to the first 2 episodes, first episode being slow and then building a show around it, which is actually very, likable, that I liked with Loki and WandaVision. So, I mean, they can do that, but, it could go the way of Hawkeye and Winter Soldier, too. So, I'll stick with it, but we'll see.
I don't know where they're going to go. I'm trying to think back. I think in most the comics so far, like the people she's fought do tend to be like other teens. But
maybe if they like My Girl, the love interest, I'll be like, they pulled me back in.
Not the bees.
New Jersey, bees everywhere.
I do think in the comics, like he loses an arm somehow.
Oh, that's yeah.
But then I think he gets like a metal arm to replace it or some bullshit.
The old metal arm.
Yeah.
Everybody gets metal arms.
They never give somebody like a shitty hook.
Well, Jax had those tiny little arms in Mortal Kombat till his chi kicked in or whatever.
That's right. Those were pretty funny.
That is one of the things about like, these superhero universes is like, Barbara Gordon was paralyzed for so many years, but I bet you there's other people in the DC universe that have all this crazy like cyborg technology that are like, oh yeah, we could have had you walking years ago.
But you're a side character.
You ever think there's someone who's like paralyzed and like they get fixed and they're like, I have full use of my vag again.
Yes.
Yeah, that didn't go.
Although even when she was paralyzed, I think she had use of her vag because her and...
But did she feel anything?
Well, her and Dick Grayson still for a while had a relationship while she was paralyzed. And I think...
It wasn't like the boys where
I think
like
there's a
one
panel...
was like a burn victim jerking off the other.
Oh, God.
No, I think there was a panel or two with them in bed, though, during the years she was paralyzed. I think.
That was like a no lube situation, too. That was bad.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, she was sorry, I had to she rubbed that thing raw.
But I mean, Homelander, he's got a strong dick. He's got a dick of steel,
Yeah,
so
I
he's
guess
good.
so, yeah.
If anything, it hurt her hand.
Wasn't it a no finish?
Oh yeah, it was a no finish
Yeah, it
as
was a
well.
no finish.
Oh.
He lost the he lost his pipe in the middle. Oh, that was so gross.
Yeah, you could hear it. It was just terrible.
They should have almost had like a metal like clanking sound.
The boys. I love the fucked up shit like that.
There's a lot.
It's nasty.
There's a lot of.
They
fucked
have
up
like
shit.
a lot of gross sex stuff.
Yeah. I mean, just those first 3 episodes of this season had a lot of like gory, like blood exploding kind of moments.
Yeah.
Each season, man, it's a great show. I forget. Do you watch The Boys? Or
I watched the first season.
He's like, I just watched the clips of the sex stuff.
I just YouTube people doing stuff like that.
you just watch the montage.
The boys' sex montage.
I saw on Pornhub. It was very educational.
I bet somebody's has probably clipped out all those, put them together.
You know, Jason Mantzoukas, he said he watched a movie for How Did This Get Made on Pornhub.
Oh, really?
One of those movies was uploaded to Pornhub.
Nice.
You know, there's a guy who like made a bunch of money. I think he was Indian. Like he just uploaded like math tutorials on Pornhub.
I don't know why, but okay. I mean, what's the logic behind
I
that?
have no idea.
He said he made money off of that?
Yeah, that's what.
Damn.
I forgot where I saw that story.
Somebody's
I'm gonna have to
jerking
look
off
it
like,
up.
oh, I got homework. Oh, this guy. Yep, that's it.
Well, like after the first 3 minutes, then you can go on his channel.
Yeah.
Do those videos make you harder than Chinese arithmetic? Well, guys, we talked about nerd shit for more than an hour.
All right.
We did it.
I feel like we ended where we should have started.
What do you
The
mean?
gross sex shit.
I mean,
Normally
we talked about The Boys a little bit at the beginning, but yeah, we skipped over the best part. So what do you guys think? Each week we can dive into Miss Marvel and
It better get better.
Yeah, I do hope it improves. If it stays this way, then I won't like it that much.
Yeah, this is the no lube jerk job.
Yeah.
Just staring at her scarred up face the whole time.
In a hospital bed.
well, everybody watching and
And it was
listening,
a no finish as well.
everybody watching and listening thinks this is the audio version of the no finish hand job. You got no finish. Except this one. Please like and subscribe.
Actually, now we know why people only watch for 30 seconds.
That's true. That's
Yeah.
true. Anyway, we thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe on to us on YouTube. Also subscribe on your YouTube or your podcast service of choice. Leave comments, leave positive reviews, and why not come over and bother us on Twitter, guys? Where can people find you on Twitter?
At a name for this too, and that's number 2.
At unsolicited SUG.
And you can find me at Zach Jones Live. That's ZachJonesLive. And that is going to do it for all of our marvelous shenanigans and poppycock this week. Please, please, please tune in again next week. Bye, guys.
Take care.
Have a good one.